So I'll take you on my own personal journey. When I speak, which I've done for 15 years now with this message in 15 different countries, sometimes in different languages, I ask one question. And I don't do an intro like I'm doing here, but I'm doing a pre-frame for you. And the question is, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word teenager? Possibility. Okay. Go with me. She said heartache. Go with me to what you think I hear in the UK, in South Africa, here at home, in Australia. What comes up when I'm in a room full of 200 parents at a PTA meeting? Heartache. Difficulty. Defiance. Someone write this down for me. I might need the list. What else? Willful. Trouble. Okay. Individuating. Yes. They don't say that. Yeah. Or if I'm in a PTA meeting with parents of young children, I say, what do you fear most about the teen years? Give me some of that. Disrespect. Drugs, sex. Wrong path. A lot of fear, right? We got a lot of fear, or we got the opposite of an aha moment is another kind of moment. Have to keep it clean. So what I do is I write the list on the board, and I say, is that who your teenager is? And I'll tell you that that's who I thought my teenager was 15 years ago. He was the moody, broody, internal, private, leave me alone. Anybody got one of those? Yeah, and a few nods. What else goes along with that? Defiant, quiet, grunting. Remember that one? Yeah, grunting. So then I ask parents, and I'm going to ask you, is that what we want to make more of? So what would be the opposite of that if we had a whiteboard over here and we had the opposite of all those words? You can have yours now. Potential. Motivated. Loving. Engaged. Oh, my chemistry is changing already. What'd you say? Cooperative. Appreciative. Respectful. Imagine that, a different picture. Anybody got one of those? Yeah, a few. So typically when all of us sit, stand, talk to groups of parents, we're talking to parents who have a belief system that looks more like this, right? That's why we've come here to this meeting. And so I say, in the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you how to take your teenager from this to this. Do you want to go with me? Absolutely. Okay, so I say, do you want to go with me? Let's go. So the most important thing for me to do is share with you how I went from this to this, how I went from being the parent of this type of teenager, which I had, to the parent of this type of teenager. Sounds good, huh? Now, we can go to therapy, we can go to classes, we can take, years to do this, and I'm going to give it to you in 7 minutes, so you can go home and try it. Pretty cool. So I'm going to take you through my own journey on how I went from here to here. It's going to take just a few minutes, and I'm going to draw 4 scenarios. The first scenario is 15 years ago. I was a film producer, and I was a single mom, self-supporting, and self-employed. That's a lot of solo kind of things. And I figured out at 14, when I had a 14-year-old, you can't put your 14-year-old in daycare anymore. So as a film producer, being all over the world and on the set, I had to figure out a new career. Anybody have a new career? Yeah. You know what that's like. So one day I came across a magazine and it had life coaching in it. So I'm opening the magazine, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to close the Rolodex on my film career, which was very, very awesome. And I'm going to become a life coach. So I enrolled in the school. So the first scenario is mom's having a career change. My 14-year-old is going through hormonal changes and slamming doors and throwing backpacks down and telling mom she's nuts. And mom's decided in the middle of all that to change her career. Okay, scenario one. So I closed my career. I went on fumes financially for 6 months, just turned in my life insurance policy and went to life coaching school. Took a year. So I'm in transition, and I'm finding this stuff is transforming me, that it's not about transforming other people. And the regular fodder of the Life Coaching 101 is, what do you want? Who are you in there? What are your values? And so the second thing, that's the short version of the year-long course, by the way. The second scenario is I decided to open my own coaching business because I needed money. And being self-employed and self-supporting, it wouldn't have occurred to me to get a job. Still doesn't. Darn, missed that one. And I set up my own coaching business 3 months into coach training. So the second scenario is that I'm beginning to coach people who are moving from employment to self-employment. Pretty good gig, right? Because a lot of people can't figure out how to go from reactive to proactive, from external to internally motivated, all those, deeply rooted things inside becoming self-employed. So mom's not only got a new school, a new career, transitioning from the inside out. People are asking me, are you living your values? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a new question. I'm used to put the camera there. That kind of bossy stuff. I'm pretty good at that. My buddy over here. So second scenario, I'm starting a new business. Then I had an aha moment halfway through that, and the aha moment was, dang it. I think I was a little bit more rough than that. How come I didn't get a life coach when I was starting my career at 16, 17, 18? Where was my life coach? Nowhere to be found. Where was my mentor? Nowhere to be found. So I got really angry. Really pissed off, not happy. Damn it, I've wasted 30 years. If only I'd had what I'm delivering to my clients. If I'd had that at 16, who might I have become? What might I have accomplished? Who would I be inside? So rather than I'm mad about it, I decided, get over yourself, and I decided to go find my third scenario, which was a bunch of teenagers to practice life coaching on. Huh, good idea, 15 years ago. Nobody'd heard of it. So I went to the principal of my son's school, and I said, I'm here to life coach your teenagers. And he goes, cool, you can have Mrs. Skarstad's English class, and you get to go to third period every day. Okay, great, that's the job, I'll do it. And of course, I wasn't paid. I told my son about it, and he goes, Mom, don't get anywhere near the freshman class. He was a freshman at that school. You can go to school, just don't let anybody know I'm your kid. Fair enough. So remember, scenario one is new career and training, new business. Then I'm volunteering for a year to practice life coaching on these kids. And so what did I do? I used only the tools I had been learning. Who are you in there? To the 16-year-olds in Mrs. Skarstad's English class. What are your values? Not, did you turn in your SAT application? Not, did you pick up your socks? Not, what period is third period? Not, what do you want to do with your life? None of that. I said, who are you in there? I see you. And some of them were like, whoa, what's going on here? Because they'd never experienced that level of human intimacy before, where you really look and say, I see you, I see into you. Thank you, Avatar. The engagement was so profound. And the moment for me, I'll just capsulize the whole year in one little girl, one 16-year-old girl. I got, I guess kind of in their face, but not really. I mean, it's just like normal things. What are your core values? Let's talk about that. How might you live your contribution into the world? 16. Did anybody ask you that at 16? Yeah, that's me too. No hands go up. So she says, well, I'm the last of 4 kids, and my 3 brothers, they're all in football, and they do really well, and then there's me. And I really don't have anything to offer. And she began to cry, and I began to cry. And I said, well, what gets you up in the morning? Oh, I really like to cook. All right, we'll start with that. Well, what do you like to make? So then the coaching began. And I worked with these 30 kids to take them from, I have nothing to offer, I'm miserable, I have nothing, everybody else, you know, you walk down to the mall. Hello, it's visible. We're not talking about anything other than just day to day. So we worked together for a third period for 30 kids for the whole year, and at the end of the year, I circled back on everyone and I asked them the exit strategy question. And I said to her, so what do you think now? She goes, I know what I want to do with my life. Cool. What? I'm going to be a chef. Really? And we both started crying again. And then we could get on with, well, let's go to the computer and look up chef schools. See, if we'd gone to the doing thing first, we would have missed the whole process. So at the end of the year, I was on my knees, just absolutely gobsmacked with feelings, emotions. I thought, okay, get over it, that I didn't get that. I'm called to do this for the rest of my life. And I made that stand. However, I had one more thing to learn. Can you imagine what it might be? Anybody? At home, hello. So we've got school going on, we've got business going on, we've got the kids going on, third period, and you know how as professionals, we can sit in a session with a kid or a parent or whatever once a week, and then we leave and life goes on, and ta-da, we hope something happens. So I thought, I think things aren't going all like that at home. I've still got that picture, remember that picture? At home. Now, one of the mantras in life coach training is never coach your family. So I got to that part in the training and I went, and I just watch me. That's all I need. Say that again. Bring that on. Yeah. And so I dared. So here's how I dared. So I had this broody, moody teenager, and before I learned all these other things, what was my response to that kid on that whiteboard here? Oh, Jordan, you're doing that teenage thing again. Anybody say that? Not us. Or he'd do that grunt. Yeah, awesome grunt. Now remember, oh, I forgot to tell you, I have a background in theater. So I am known for being a little theatrical at home. I went to San Diego State. So when your kid gives you, anybody has a kid that does grunting? Yeah, okay. So you know that, yeah, one. So the grunt was like, oh, Jordan, good grunt. You're going to need that later in life. You know, that's awesome. Those one-syllable sentences, that'll take you far. You know, I big a whole drama about it, you know, get Macbeth about it all. So one day in the kitchen, he's sitting over here, and I can actually, we'll put him over here. He's sitting by the window, and he's having toast, and I'm over here doing something with my back to him, and I asked him one of those normal questions. What would you ask your kid in the morning? How do you want your eggs? How do you want your eggs, yeah. And I said something, but I wasn't looking at him, and he said, whatever. You know that line? Whatever. And I said, Jordan, that's awesome, that whatever. Could you give it to me again? Take two, I need that whatever again. Notice the hint of sarcasm? Yeah. That's all I knew. I didn't get a rule book, right? I didn't know what to do. The whole theatrical, thing was my MO. So then he didn't say anything. And I'm like still over here, and I'm like, he actually pulled the chair out, stood up, and he says to me, Mom, why do you do that? Every time I say something you don't like, you call it a teen thing. Don't you think that makes me feel bad? Teenagers aren't all broken, you know. Wow. Now I have worked through this, and I've told this thousands of times, so I don't need the Kleenex right now, but I can feel it in my gut. Can you feel it in your gut? Teenagers aren't all broken, you know. And that was, again, the opposite of an aha moment. That wasn't. So I knew something powerful was happening, that I had just been released from my parental role because I was blowing it. I was tearing down the person I loved the most. So we had a moment of silence, something new in our house, because I'm the talker. Imagine that. And we stood and looked at each other, and I thought, oh, I gotta think this through. So I did something very rare. I stopped talking. And he went off to school, and I decided I was going to be quiet for 2 weeks while I figured this out. We have a thing in our house, it's called Listen with Your Lips Shut now, a little fast forward. Listen with your lips shut. So I listened with my lips shut for 2 weeks, and I thought, okay, what am I doing over here? What am I doing in coach training? What am I doing with my clients? What am I doing with these kids? And then I'm tearing down the person I love the most. This doesn't compute. So 2 weeks go by, and I still hadn't figured out how to transpose life coaching into my voice as a parent, because don't coach your family, right? So I was working it out. So one day, he comes home, big house, big open foyer kind of thing. And you know how they come in with those really big feet, like the cartoon Zits, and they have the big backpacks, and they make a lot of noise, and they slam the door, you know, that thing. And then I'm in the kitchen, so we're about maybe 20 feet away. And I looked at him and I thought, okay, I've been quiet for 2 weeks. It's really weird. I can't go on like this. I have heard people say, just lock them up till they're 21. You can talk to them then. You've heard this? Yeah. Okay. So I thought, I am not going to stop talking in my own house till he's 21. He's only 14. I can't do this for 7 years. So I turned around and he came in and I go, "Hail, fine young son." I started very young in theater. And I'm like, and he's like, have I come to the wrong house, whatever. And so he's kind of locked like this. He's backed up a few steps. I'm kind of like, you know, King Lear or something, you know. And we stood there paralyzed. The next thing that happened was he was kind of like, it's about time she caught on to me. I am the fine young son. And all this stuff on the board flashed in front of me, and I thought, maybe if I say something different, maybe he is the fine young son. And he stood there, he got visibly taller before I finished the moment. And I was thinking, that worked. Maybe there's more in the coaching toolkit. Maybe there's more than just simply changing language. Maybe there's more like changing a belief system about who he is. I went from, oh, there's that teenager stomping through the door, to, hail, fine young son. And in that moment, I became the fine young mother. And so we learned this, and things started changing. And I said, I have to take everything I've done with this new career and wrap it into a new model, and I called it Parent as Coach. Sort of duh, you know? And I said, Jordan, will you help me take this message to the world, since it's changed us, but mostly me? He goes, yeah, right, Mom, you're the first guinea pig. You give it out to the world. And so I give it out to the world, and he stays anonymous for his... That's the kind of person he is. And so he says, and I'll stay with you every step of the way. That was 14 years ago. So I have to, I hope I just got one more minute. So what I decided to do in taking it to the world, I'll be very short because there is a year-long training program, of course. What I did to take it to the world, I didn't know how to write, I didn't know how to do this kind of speaking thing. You know, I knew how to do Shakespeare, but that's about it. And so I said, well, what if I ask the kids? I'm not a behavioral therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't play one on TV, don't want to. And so I thought, well, in coaching, we ask for the client's point of view, like the husband's. And I said, so I'll go ask 100 kids, what do you need from adults? A little science experiment. And I asked them 4 questions, coaching questions. I went back to the kids in the school, and I have since asked thousands of kids, and we've done this experiment in over 15 countries in several languages. And here's their answer. If you respect me, I will hear you. If you listen to me, I will feel understood. If you understand me, I will feel appreciated. If you appreciate me, I will know your support. If you support me as I try new things, I will become responsible. And when I am responsible, then I will grow up to be independent. And in my independence, I can then love you and respect you all of my life. Your teenager.